Welcome back, everyone. The spring 2026 anime season is just around the corner, and wow, it is looking absolutely massive. But let's be real, with so many new shows launching all at once, how do you even begin to figure out what's actually worth your time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today, using hard data to forecast the titans of the upcoming season.
So let's just start with a number, 87. Any guesses what this number represents in the world of anime this spring?
You got it. That's the total number of new series, sequels, and specials all fighting for a slice of your very precious, very limited viewing time. I mean, the sheer volume is it's overwhelming. And that leads us to a really key concept for this season.
The source material for this analysis calls this a red ocean. Think about it, a market so saturated with competition that a ton of perfectly good shows are simply destined to get lost in the noise. It's a pretty brutal environment for creators, but for us, it's a fascinating puzzle to solve.
Okay, so how are we going to solve this puzzle? Here's our roadmap. First, we'll dive a little deeper into this red ocean idea. Then we'll get to the good stuff, the data-driven power rankings. We'll break those down by age and by gender. And finally, we'll uncover the 2 hidden paths to victory in this ridiculously crowded season. So, with 87 shows all vying for our attention, the real question is, how can we possibly predict which ones are going to rise to the top? To do that, we need a really powerful, objective tool that just cuts right through all the preseason hype. And here it is, the expectation value score. This is the key analytical tool we're going to be using today. It's a score out of 100, and it's specifically designed to measure the true anticipation of the entire market, not just, one specific group of superfans. And this score is so powerful because of how it's put together. It isn't just based on one little poll. No, it pulls in data from Japanese fan surveys, search engine traffic, international buzz on sites like Reddit, and even how much media coverage a show is getting. It gives us a genuine 360-degree view of the hype. All right, now that we know how we're measuring this, it's time for the first big reveal. Let's take a look at the overall power ranking for all 87 titles coming our way this spring. And there you have it. The top of the chart is an absolute fortress of sequels. ReZero, Slime, Classroom of the Elite, the entire S tier is made up of established, beloved franchises. And this tells us something absolutely crucial about the market right now. In a sea of total uncertainty, viewers are flocking to what they see as guaranteed quality. They want a sure thing. But it's not just about being popular. This is what's so brilliant. Each S-tier show has a distinct strategic weapon. ReZero lives and breathes on that live watch social media hype. Slime is the universal champion. It appeals to literally everyone. And Classroom of the Elite, they're coming out swinging with a 4-episode premiere to just dominate the conversation from day one. It is a calculated battle for our attention. But that overall ranking only tells part of the story. When we start slicing this data by age, that's when the picture gets way more interesting. It reveals this dramatic generational divide in what viewers are actually excited about. So the source data points to this really fundamental split. Younger viewers, we're talking teens and 20s, are driven by what the data calls SNS empathy and novelty. They want stories with characters and situations that feel relatable enough to post about online. Meanwhile, older audiences value reliability and nostalgia, the comfort of a guaranteed good time, and the thrill of seeing a classic reborn. And we can see that playing out right here. For teens, you've got a self-projection fantasy like The Ice Guy scoring incredibly high. But check out the 20s column. Needy Girl Overdose is at number 4. Now that's a show that dives deep into niche internet subcultures, and that perfectly hits that sweet spot of novelty and relevance for that specific demographic. Now, on the other side of that divide, the driving forces are totally different. Comfort and nostalgia. I mean, look at the 40s demographic. Farming Life in Another World is number 1. It's the ultimate low-stakes comfort show. And then you have classics reborn, like Fist of the North Star, which appeal directly to viewers who grew up with the originals. Now, if you thought the age gap was big, we see an even starker contrast when we split the data by gender. The priorities for male and female viewers this season, honestly, they could not be more different. For male viewers, the top of the list looks, well, pretty familiar. It's almost a carbon copy of the overall top 4. This shows a really powerful preference for reliable, high-octane action and the strategic battles you find in these blockbuster isekai and shonen franchises. It's all about proven, established quality. But for female viewers, the list is completely different. The number 1 pick, Ascendance of a Bookworm, is a perfect example. The source notes a huge spike in anticipation because Wit Studio is taking over production. That signals a major focus on high artistic quality. The other top shows here, they're celebrated for their deep world building and narratives that are centered on a character's internal psychological growth. So, after breaking down all this data, the overall trends, the generational splits, the gender divides, we finally arrive at the big question. What does it actually take to win in the brutal red ocean of spring 2026? This chart just visualizes the battlefield perfectly. The isekai and fantasy genre is a true red ocean. You've got 22 shows all fighting for the same audience, an audience that's already dominated by titans like ReZero and Slime. But then look at drama and suspense. With only 9 titles, it's a blue ocean, where shows have way more room to breathe and find a dedicated fanbase without being totally overshadowed. And this all leads to the source's core conclusion, a concept it calls the polarization of hegemony. Now, I know, that sounds super complex, but it simply means that in today's market, success is splitting into 2 very distinct opposite paths. So what this means is that there are 2 clear paths to victory. First, you can be a massive, all-quadrant blockbuster that appeals to pretty much everyone, like Slime. Or you can be a niche champion, a show that isn't for everybody, but it's the absolute favorite for a specific, passionate audience. In today's market, trying to be everything to everyone is a recipe for getting lost in the crowd.
And that brings this whole analysis right back to you. We've seen the data on the mainstream mega hits and the dedicated niche champions. So as you get ready to build your watch list, it's worth asking yourself, in a season this crowded, which path is going to win your screen time?